everybody! Today we'll talk about situation with veganism in Russia. That's going to be a long story. So there are different countries in terms of how vegan friendly they are. Some of them have traditionally a lot of vegan dishes and a lot of plant-based food, and some of them have more animal-based diets. So about Russia, I would say that it traditionally has a lot of plant-based meals, but it's also highly centered around dairy products. So if you go in a typical supermarket, you will see big aisles of dairy products, all kinds of them. And we have so many varieties that some of the names are not even present in English. Dairy products from Caucasus especially, so many types. Vegetarianism is not such a new thing to Russia, because before revolution in the 19th century, our famous writer Leo Tolstoy, he founded a vegetarian society, and he had a lot of followers. They opened vegetarian cafeterias, and even they edited their own newspaper. So this movement was developing very rapidly, but then the revolution of the 1917 came. And Stalin and his regime, they didn't watch that kind of stuff, so it was all blocked, and all the vegetarians were sent to prison and these kinds of things. So that's why our parents and grandparents, they have no idea how it is to be a vegetarian. It was completely unthought of in Soviet Union, like nobody did it, or only some crazy yoga people or something like that. So this Soviet era, it completely blocked the movement. So in the 90s, the country opened up and new ideas started to flow in, and people started to get ideas about yoga, about different religions, different traditions, different social movements. So first vegetarianism came again to Russia with the Krishna movement. Krishnaism, it's an Indian religion. They have a strong position on ahimsa, means not harming anybody, non-violence. So they avoid all kinds of meats and eggs, but they base their diet heavily on dairy products. Maybe it had sense in India 5,000 years ago because cows were treated well, but nowadays consuming dairy products has nothing to do with ahimsa, because, you know, it's so terrible with the cows, with the calves. Calves are taken away, cows are eventually killed, and their babies are killed, and they live terrible lives and so on. So that's a different topic, but a lot of vegetarians in Russia, they are following this Krishna religion, and they are lacto vegetarians and consuming a lot of dairy products. But thanks to them, we have a lot of cafeterias, vegetarian cafeterias in different cities, in different towns, which have also some vegan options. That's a great thing. Also, Krishna people, they invented vegan sausages, vegan mayonnaise in the country, because they avoid eggs, and without them we wouldn't have those products, so that's a good thing. I don't mind Krishna people, I like their philosophy, just I don't like their obsession with dairy products, that's what I mentioned already. So, but they played a great role in Russian vegetarianism and veganism as well. So because of those Soviet Union times and revolution, I would say that our country lags behind Western countries, maybe 20 years. We are behind in many things, and especially in social development, social change. So the market of vegan products is like that in the US maybe 15 years ago, I think. Just maybe 3 years ago, we started producing our Russian vegan cheese, the first of a kind, and it was a big revolution for vegans in Russia. So vegan movement in Russia is very young and not very big, and it's the strongest in city St. Petersburg. In other cities it's not as strong. So there are a lot of disputes between vegans about which approach is best, a lot of fights, no united movement, unfortunately. Also, we have a lot of animal welfare movements concentrating mostly on cats and dogs. So there are a lot of people who devote their lives to protecting cats and dogs, but they still eat meat, they don't consider other animals' plight. And even cats and dogs, they are, being the most privileged animals, they still cannot get the law for them to be protected from abusers, from dog hunters, from killing by government even. So before the FIFA football match, a lot of dogs are going to be killed. And no petition signed worldwide, they don't have any effect on our government, unfortunately. So I would say our situation with animal rights in Russia is a little bit better than in China, but not much better. Also, we have a big raw vegan movement. They are mostly doing it for health, but there are also ethical raw vegans. And they want to get superpower. They believe that raw vegan diet will give them super health till 100 years old. So thanks to them we have some smoothie bars in our cities and some raw vegan sweets, and that's also very nice. Also, speaking about veganism in Russia, I cannot forget mentioning about Orthodox Church. So our religion in Russia is Orthodox Christianity. According to their tradition, they have a big fasting period called Great Lent. It happens every year in March, April or May. It lasts about 30 to 40 days. And during this time, every cafe, every restaurant and supermarket, they serve vegan food. Food without any animal products. That's so amazing. There are a lot of people who observe this Lent. And it's a wonderful time for vegans in Russia. We can go to any supermarket and get vegan food, sausages, mayo very easily. And any restaurant will serve us. And it's funny, sometimes some religious grandmothers ask me, like, dear, do you observe the Lent? And I say, I'm on eternal Lent, grandma. So these are the main points I wanted to tell about veganism in Russia. Just a quick disclaimer, this is my perspective, this is how I view the situation from my experience, from my observations. If you live in Russia and you see differently, please feel free to share in the comments how you see it, how is being vegan in Russia for you, and I would love to see that, to hear that. So thank you so much for watching, please hit subscribe button below and see you in next videos. Bye bye!